Hare Krishna, invocation prayers, please.
Hare Krishna. Om Ajnana Timarandasya Jnanajana Salakya Sakshur Anmiratam Yana Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manabhistam Stabhidam Yana Bhutale Swem Rupa Kadamagyam Tadadi Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagarajadam Saga Gana Raghunatha Vidanta Jivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parjnana Sagitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Saga Gana Lalita Sri Visagam Cha He Krishna Karna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpade Gopisa Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastude Tapta Kanchana Guruvangi Radha Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sudadevi Pranam Haripriye Vanchakalpataru Vincha Kripa Sindhu Yuvacha Patitana Pavane Veyo Vaishnava Veyo Namo Namaga Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaurav Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Hare Krishna, thank you all for coming. So today we will cover Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 24, from verses 60 to 79 and finish this Chapter 24. And the next two sessions we'll have revisions for Unit 18, Chapters 20 to 23, plus this Chapter 24. So let's first finish this chapter and then we can discuss some inquiries and realizations from earlier. The context and the recap of where we are is that for purification, Lord Shiva is offering obeisances to the Lord and to the presiding deities of consciousness, ego, buddhi, as well as to the presiding deities of the elements. Lord Shiva then describes Lord's beautiful bodily features for meditation. In his prayers, Lord Shiva describes bhakti is the topmost, and Shiva describes the importance of devotee association, and that the association of devotees is Lord's real mercy. So the Rudra Gita continues in verses 60 to 66. Shiva describes the relationship between Lord, Jiva, and material creation. The reason for describing this is that some sages see the Lord's form as Brahman. Therefore, Shiva is describing that Brahman is Lord's effulgence. So I'll give the theme of these verses 60 to 66. Verse 60 is on Brahman. 61 is on relationship between Lord, Jiva, and material creation. 62 is on universal form. 63 is on Mahavishnu. 64 is on Paramatma. And 65, 66 on time. So you can realize that all these verses and all these personalities are involved with material creation. So we'll read these verses, although these verses are straightforward. Shivangi will read 60 and 61. So 60 is on Brahman and 61 is on the relationship between Lord, Jiva, material creation.
Hare Krishna. My dear Lord, the impersonal Brahman spreads everywhere like the sunshine of the sky. And that impersonal Brahman which spreads throughout the universe, in which the entire universe is manifested, is you. My dear Lord, you have manifold energies, and these energies are manifested in manifold forms. With such energies, you have also created this cosmic manifestation, and although you maintain it as if it were permanent, you ultimately annihilate it. Although you are never distributed by such, you're never disturbed by such changes and alterations, the living entities are disturbed by them, and therefore they find the cosmic manifestation to be different or separated from you. My dear Lord, you are always independent, and I can clearly see this fact. Hare Krishna.
So verse number 60 describes an analogy that when someone says that the entire business is resting on such and such person, it does not mean the business is physically resting on this person. Rather, the business is running because of this person's brain or this person's energetic expansion. Similarly, the brain and the energies of the Lord carry out the material manifestation. And verse 61 has the analogy that in a government, the civil department and the criminal department are both equal. Therefore, the government equally funds the civil department and the criminal department. Now, outsiders may think that these departments are different, but they are not. Similarly, material energy and internal energy are equal for Krishna. Although material energy may be the cause of trouble for conditioned souls. Questions, comments?
Prabhuji, for conditioned soul, material energy is a trouble.
Yeah.
Whereas in the internal energy and material energy is equal for Krishna. So anything you would like to comment on internal energy also?
So internal energy is the spiritual energy, and the devotional services that we do are under the spiritual energy. Therefore, we all souls, we are also energies of the Lord, but we are called marginal energy because the souls have a choice either to be under the material energy or under the spiritual energy. So, in spiritual energy, there is no miseries. It is because of our illusion, because of our bhunte, the enjoying mentality, is why we choose to be under the material energy. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
All right. Now we have discussed the creation point so many places, and from middle of Canto 2 all the way to middle of Canto 3. And in verse number 63, Lord Shiva summarizes at a high level the various creation steps that we have discussed at great length. Shalini will read 62 translation, which is on universal form, and 63 on Mahavishnu.
Hare Krishna, text 62. My dear Lord, your universal form consists of all five elements, the senses, mind, intelligence, false ego, which is material, and the Paramatma. Your partial expansion, who is the director of everything. Yogis other than the devotees, namely the Karma Yogi and Jnana Yogi, worship you by their respective actions in their respective positions. It is stated both in the Vedas and in the Shastras that are corollaries of the Vedas, and indeed everywhere, that is only you who are to be worshipped. That is the expert version of all the Vedas. Text 63. My dear Lord, you are the only supreme person, the cause of all causes. Before the creation of this material world, your material energy remains in a dormant condition. When your material energy is agitated, the three qualities, namely goodness, passion, and ignorance, act. And the total material energy, egotism, ether, air, fire, water, earth, and all the various demigods and saintly persons become manifest. Thus, the material world is created. Hare Krishna.
So verse 63 also provides an analogy that material world is created to give facility to the living entities who want to imitate the activities of the Lord, just as in the material world, parents gives toys to children who want to imitate parents cooking in the kitchen. And Prabhupada says that a child's display of imitating parents cooking would last for few minutes to few hours, while the living entity's imitation attempt lasts for many lifetimes. The Gita 64 translation, which is on Paramatma.
Text 64. Translation. My dear Lord, after creating by your own potencies, you enter within the creation of in four kinds of forms. Being within the hearts of the living entities, you know them and know how they are enjoying their senses. The so-called happiness of this material creation is exactly like the bee's enjoyment of honey after it has been collected in the honeycomb. Hare Krishna.
A long time ago, we have discussed this verse. Shalini had inquired about this. And the purport Prabhupada describes that living entities are born in one of the four ways. One is from embryo, second is from eggs, third is from perspiration, and fourth is from seeds. And in the purport, Prabhupada also describes that human society is like a beehive. Just as bees bite one another when trying to enjoy the honey, similarly, humans also suffer bites from other person or other nation while trying to enjoy their own hard-earned money. Verses 65, 66 are on time. Chandran Prabhu, 65, 66 translations.
Hare Krishna. Text 65. My dear Lord, your absolute authority cannot be directly experienced, but one can guess by seeing the activities of the world that everything is being destroyed in due course of time. The force of time is very strong, and everything is being destroyed by something else, just as one animal is being eaten by another animal. Time scatters everything, exactly as the wind scatters clouds in the sky. Text 66. My dear Lord, all living entities within this material world are mad after planning for things, and they are always busy with the desire to do this or that. This is due to uncontrollable greed. The greed for material enjoyment is always existing in the living entity. But your Lordship is always alert, and in due course of time, you strike him, just as a snake seizes a mouse and very easily swallows it. Hare Krishna.
So time causes everything to be destroyed by something else, just as one animal is eaten by another. Time scatters everything, just as wind scatters the clouds in the sky. And time suddenly strikes a greedy person desiring material objects, just as a snake seizes a mouse and swallows it. And now in 67-68, Shiva concludes that an intelligent person worships the Lord's lotus feet. Mother Chandra Aunty, 67-68 translations.
667 translation. My dear Lord, any learned person knows that unless he worships you, his entire life is spoiled. Knowing this, how could he give up worshipping your lotus feet? Even our father and spiritual master, Lord Brahma, unhesitantly worshipped you, and the 14 Manus followed in his footsteps. 668. My dear Lord, all actually learned persons know you are the Supreme Brahman and the Super Soul. Although the entire universe is afraid of Lord Rudra, who ultimately annihilates everything for the lessened devotees who are the fearless destination of all. Hare Krishna.
So Shiva concludes that intelligent persons worship Lord's lotus feet. That concludes the Rudra Gita. One verse will come more about the conclusion and the auspiciousness, and rest of the verses are on Falashruti. Any questions, comments, realizations so far? We'll finish this chapter very soon. All right, so part 4 is verses 69 to 79. Title is How to Chant the Rudra Gita and Falashruti. So in verses 69 to 71, Lord Shiva describes how to chant this Rudra Gita to achieve auspiciousness. So Lord Shiva says that perform your prescribed duties with pure heart and chant this Rudra Gita. Worship the Lord, study and contemplate on these prayers, means contemplate on the Rudra Gita prayers and chant the Rudra Gita with great respect. Uncle will read 69 to 71 translations.
Hare Krishna. My dear, text 69. My dear sons of king, just execute your occupational duty as kings with a pure heart. Just chant this prayer, fixing your mind on the lotus feet of the Lord. That will bring you all good fortune, for the Lord will be very much pleased with you. Text 70. Therefore, O sons of the king, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, is situated in everyone's heart. He is also within your heart. Therefore, chant the glories of the Lord and always meditate upon him continuously. Text 71. My dear princess, in the form of a prayer, I have delineated the yoga system of chanting the holy name. All of you should take this important stotra within your mind and promise to keep it in order to become great sages. By acting silently like a great sage and by giving attention and reverence, you should practice this method. Hare Krishna.
Lord Shiva says you should chant. As soon as we finish these verses, I'll play the Rudra Gita chanted by Gauranga Darshan Das, and you will be surprised how spectacularly he has chanted. It's really, really amazing. Although we don't have to be so worried about chanting it in Sanskrit. But at least I will play one time. At least we can hear it one time. That how Shiva is asking the Prachetas to chant this Sutra Gita. So straightforward verses that if you chant this Rudra Gita, the Lord gets pleased. The statement that Shiva said about perform your prescribed duty means Prachetas were at Karma Mishra Bhakti. Anybody knows what is Karma Mishra Bhakti?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Is it when the karma he practices karma more than the bhakti, Prabhu?
Okay, somebody help.
Is it we need to do our prescribed duties, keeping in mind Krishna and do for him whatever karma, dedicate the fruits of the karma with Krishna.
Okay, so Karma Mishra Bhakti means the second part where bhakti is more than your karma. So yes, you are doing your karma and you are trying to do more and more of bhakti. Verses 72, 73 describe the origin of Rudra Gita. Kalyani, 72, 73 translations.
Hare Krishna, text 72. This prayer was first spoken to us by Lord Brahma, the master of all creators. The creators, headed by Bhrigu, were instructed in these prayers because they wanted to create. Text 73. When all the Prajapatis were ordered to create by Lord Brahma, we chanted these prayers in praise of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and became completely free from all ignorance. Thus, we were able to create different type of living entities. Hare Krishna.
All right, so the origin is Brahmaji first chanted, and by chanting this, the Lord is pleased. Verses 74, 74 to 79 are on Phala Shruti, straightforward verses. So the Phala is, or not is, but Phala are, one becomes a devotee, one gets knowledge to cross the ocean of nescience, pleases the Lord. Hearing these prayers and letting others hear these prayers frees one from all bondage of karma, and reciting these prayers is equivalent to performing austerities. So I just gave an overview of all these verses. Sridhar Prabhu, you want to read 74 to 79 translations? Sridhar Prabhu? Okay, Gopal will read 74 to 79 translations.
Hare Krishna, text 74. The devotee of Lord Krishna, whose mind is always absorbed in him, who with great attention and reverence chants this Shostra prayer, will achieve the greatest perfection of life without delay. Text 75. In this material world, there are different types of achievement, but to all of them, the achievement of knowledge is considered to be the highest because one can cross the ocean of nescience only on the boat of knowledge. Otherwise, the ocean is impassable. Text 76. Although rendering devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and worshipping Him are very difficult, if one vibrates or simply reads this stostra prayer composed and sung by me, he will very easily be able to invoke the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 77. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the dearmost objective of all auspicious benedictions. A human being who sings this song, sung by me, can please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such a devotee, being fixed in the Lord's devotional service, can acquire whatever he wants from the Supreme Lord. Text 78. The devotee who rises early in the morning and with folded hands chants these prayers sung by Lord Shiva and gives facility to others to hear them certainly becomes free from all bondage to fruitive activities. Text 79. My dear sons of King, the prayers I have recited to you are meant for pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Super Soul. I advise you to recite these prayers, which are as effective as great austerities. In this way, when you are mature, your life will be successful and you will certainly achieve all your desired objectives without fail. Hare Krishna. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purpose of 4th canto, 24th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Chanting the Song Sung by Lord Shiva. Hare Krishna.
Questions, comments, realizations?
So in a nutshell, Prabhuji, Falashruti means results of hearing and reciting this chapter.
Correct.
And those who hear, recite, meditate on this chapter receive even spiritual benefits. This is my understanding.
Correct. Yeah. So I will repeat. All your points are correct. So the phala are one becomes a devotee, one gets knowledge to cross the ocean of nescience, one pleases the Lord with the prayers are for Lord's pleasure. Hearing these prayers and letting others hear these prayers frees one from all bondage of karma. And reciting these prayers is equivalent to performing austerities. I'll soon play. Let me give you spiritual endeavor. So you have two questions. Both are analogies. Analogy from 4.24.61. In the government, the criminal department and civil department may appear different in the eyes of the citizens, but in eyes of the government, both departments are equal. The criminal department is troublesome for the criminal, but not for obedient citizen. Similarly, this material energy is troublesome for conditioned souls, but it has nothing to do with the liberated souls who are engaged in service of the Lord. Everybody got the first analogy? All right. Analogy number 2 from 4.24.63. Sometimes children want to imitate their mother and cook in the kitchen. And at such a time, the mother supplies them with some toys so that children can imitate her cooking. Similarly, when some of the living entities want to imitate the activities of the Lord, this material cosmic manifestation is created for them by the Lord. Everybody got both the analogies?
Yes, Prabhu.
So the next two classes we're going to revise. Chapters 20 to 23 for Unit 18 plus Chapter 24. I will soon bring up on screen the schedule. There's one slot open. And for the class after the revision, you will be reading Chapter 25. So today, I'm going to give you an overview of that Chapter 25 onwards, and you will realize why. Just so that your pre-read becomes a little easier. Mother Chija, you had something?
No, Prabhuji. Thank you.
All right. So now I'm going to play Rudra Gita. I will have at a high volume. You can adjust the volume at your end because it is spectacular. His Grace Gauranga Darshan Das is reciting this Rudra Gita from verse 33 onwards. I think he recites up to verse 70 or somewhere around there. It is really, really spectacular the way he has recited. We don't have to worry about so perfect pronunciation, but at least he has done it to perfection. So we'll hear at least one time from him, and we'll go from there. So I will keep scrolling the verses that we have on the screen. So we have both Sanskrit and English. The Gauranga Darshan Das only recites in Sanskrit, and some of the verses the meter is different, and you will see it comes up on the screen besides the verse the different meter, and he recites in the different meters. And he switches between the meters also perfectly because he is definitely an expert. So you can adjust the volume at your end. I will play at high volume so that it gets absorbed in your consciousness. Let's hear.
रुद्रगीत श्रीरुद्र उवाच जितं त आत्मविद्वर्या स्वस्तये स्वस्तिरस्तु मे भवताराधसाराद्धं सर्वस्मा आत्मने नमः नमः पङ्कजनाभाय भूतसूक्ष्मेन्द्रियात्मने वासुदेवाय शान्ताय कूटस्थाय स्वरोचिषे संकर्षणाय सूक्ष्माय दुरन्तायान्तकाय च नमो विश्वप्रबोधाय प्रद्युम्नायान्तरात्मने नमो नमो अनिरुद्धाय हृषीकेशेन्द्रियात्मने नमः परमहंसाय पूर्णाय निभृतात्मने स्वर्गापवर्गद्वाराय नित्यं शुचिषडे नमः नमो हिरण्यवीर्याय चातुर्होत्राय तन्तवे नम ऊर्ज इषेत्रय्याः पतये यज्ञरेतसे तृप्तिदाय च जीवानां नमः सर्वरसात्मने सर्वसत्त्वात्मदेहाय विशेषाय स्थवीयसे नमः त्रैलोक्यपालाय सह ओजबलाय च अर्थलिङ्गाय नभसे नमोऽन्तर्बहिरात्मने नमः पुण्याय लोकाय अमुष्मै भूरिवर्चसे प्रवृत्ताय निवृत्ताय पितृदेवाय कर्मणे नमो धर्मविपाकाय मृत्यवे दुःखदाय च नमस्त आशिषामीशा मनवे कारणात्मने नमो धर्माय बृहते कृष्णाय कुण्ठमेधसे पुरुषाय पुराणाय साङ्ख्ययोगेश्वराय च शक्तित्रयसमेताय मेढुषेऽहङ्कृतात्मने चेत आकूतिरूपाय नमो वाचो विभूतये दर्शनं नोदिदृक्षूणां देहि भागवतार्चितं रूपं प्रियतमं स्वानां सर्वेन्द्रियगुणाञ्जनं स्निग्धप्रावृद्घनश्यामं सर्वसौन्दर्यसङ्ग्रहं चार्वायतचतुर्बाहु सुजातरुचिराननं पद्मकोशपलाशाक्षं सुन्दरभ्रूसुनासिकं सुद्विजं सुकपोलास्यं समकर्णविभूषणं प्रीतिप्रहसितापाङ्गम् अलकैरूपशोभितं लसत्पङ्कजकिञ्जल्कादुकूलं मृष्टकुण्डलं स्फुरत्किरीटवलयाहारनूपुरमेखलं शङ्खचक्रगदापद्मामालामण्युक्तमर्धिमत् सिंहस्कन्धद्विषो बिभ्रत् सौभगग्रीवकौस्तुभं श्रियानपायिन्या क्षिप्ता निकषास्मोरसोल्लसत् पूररेचकसंविघ्ना वलिवल्गुदलोदरं प्रतिसङ्क्रामयद्विश्वं नाभ्यावर्तकभीरया श्यामश्रोण्यधिरोचिष्णो दुकूलस्वर्णमेखलं समचार्वाङ्घ्रिजङ्घोरो निम्नगानसुदर्शनं पदाशरत्पद्मपलाशरोचिषा नखद्युभिर्नोऽन्तरघं विधुन्वता प्रदर्शयस्वीयमपास्तसाध्वसं पदं गुरो मार्गगुरुर्तमोजुषाम् एतद्रूपमनुध्येयम् आत्मशुद्धिमभीप्सताम् यद्भक्तियोगो भयदः स्वधर्ममनुतिष्ठताम् भवान् भक्तिमता लभ्यो दुर्लभः सर्वदेहिनाम् स्वाराज्यस्याप्यभिमता एकान्तेनात्मविद्गतिः तं दुराराध्यमाराध्य सताम् अपि दुरापय एकान्तभक्त्या को वाञ्छेत् पादमूलं विना बहिः यत्र निर्विष्टमरणं कृतान्तो नाभिमन्यते विश्वं विध्वंसयन् वीर्या शौर्यविस्फूर्जितभ्रुवा क्षणार्धेनापि तुलये न स्वर्गं न पुनर्भवम् भगवत्सङ्गिसङ्गस्य मर्त्यानां किमुताशिषः अथानगाङ्घ्रेस्तव कीर्तितीर्थयोरन्तर्बहिस्नानविधूतपाप्मनां भूतेष्वनुक्रोशसुसत्त्वशीलनां स्यात्सङ्गमोऽनुग्रह एष नस्तव न यस्य चित्तं बहिरर्थविभ्रमं तमो गुहायां च विशुद्धमाविशत् यद्भक्तियोगान् गृहीतमञ्जसा मुनिर्विचष्टे ननु तत्र ते गतिम् यत्रेदं यजते विश्वं विश्वस्मिन् अवभाति यत् तत्त्वं ब्रह्म परं ज्योतिराकाशम् इव विस्तृतम् यो माययेदं पुरुरूपयासृजद् बिभर्ति भूयः क्षपयत्यविक्रियः यद्भेदबुद्धिः सैवात्मतुस्थया त्वमात्मतन्त्रं भगवन् प्रतीमहि क्रियाकलापैरिदमेव योगिनः श्रद्धान्विताः साधु यजन्ति सिद्धये भूतेन्द्रियान्तःकरणोपलक्षितं वेदे च तन्त्रे च तयेव कोविदाः त्वमेक आद्यः पुरुषः सुप्तशक्तिः तया रजः सत्त्वतमो विभिद्यते महानहं खं मरुदग्निवार्धराः सुरर्षयो भूतगणा इदं यतः सृष्टं स्वशक्त्येदमनुप्रविष्टश्चतुर्विधं पुरमात्मां शकेन अथो विदुस्तं पुरुषं सन्तमन्तर्भुङ्क्ते हृषीकैर्मधुसारगम्यः स एष लोकान् अतिचण्डवेगो विकर्षसि स्त्वं खलु कालयानः भूतानि भूतैरनुमेयतत्त्वो घनावलीर्वायुरिवाविशह्यः प्रमत्तमुच्चैरिति कृत्य चिन्तया प्रवृद्धलोभं विषयेषु लालसम् त्वमप्रमत्तः सहसाभिपद्यसे क्षुल्लेलिहानो हिरिवाखुमन्तकः कस्त्वं पदाब्जं विजहाति पण्डितो यस्तेवमानाव्ययमानकेतनः विशङ्कयास्मद्गुरुरर्चति स्म यद्विनोपपत्तिं मनवश्चतुर्दश अतत्त्वमसि नो ब्रह्मन् परमात्मन् विपश्चिताम् विश्वं रुद्रभयध्वस्तम् अकुतश्चिद्भयागतिः इदं जपत भद्रं वो विशुद्धा नृपनन्दनाः स्वधर्ममनुतिष्ठन्तो भगवत्यर्पिताशयाः तमेवात्मानमात्मस्थं सर्वभूतेष्वस्थितं पूजयध्वं गृणन्तश्च ध्यायन्तश्च सकृद्धरिम् हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
Creates a positive vibration, Prabhuji.
Yeah, very good. So I have the presentation schedule on the screen. There is one spot available. Somebody can try to do 2 presentations, or whosoever is left over can consider, and we will revise in the next 2 sessions. Any questions, comments, realizations before I give you a quick overview for chapter 25 onwards? You'll quickly realize why I'm going to give you that overview. All right. So have undivided attention for chapter 25 onwards, which is unit number 19. So you will recall the slides that I have for this Canto 4 onwards. That starts with Brahmaji, and we have discussed the Daksha Yajna and Dhruv Maharaj and all the descendants coming from Dhruv Maharaj. So the next unit is going to be unit number 19 and the title is King Puranjana. So we discussed Rudra Gita. I told you that it's a standalone chapter. So unit 19 onwards, as well as 20, the discussion is overlapping. Unit 19 is titled King Puranjana, covers Canto 4 chapters 25 to 28, where Narad Muni describes the story of Puranjana to Prachana Bharisat. Now, I have laid out many important personalities in the hierarchy. Can anybody find Puranjana? Where is Puranjana here? Yes, no.
It says Unit 19, King
19.
Puranjana.
Yeah, that I correct. That unit 19 is titled King Puranjana. But where is on the right side? Where is Puranjana in the in all the descendants coming from Uttanapada all the way. Where is King Puranjana here? Anybody?
Does it come under Prasiddhas?
No. No, it does not. Prachetas are unique personalities. So this entire unit number 19, chapters 25 to 28, is an allegory. So I request all of you to look up the dictionary meaning of the word allegory. Allegory is spelled as ALLEGORY. So I posted in the chat allegory. Look up the meaning of allegory. What does allegory mean?
Allegory is a story poem.
Okay. Shalini?
A picture that can be interpreted to reveal a hidden meaning, typically a moral or political one.
Okay, very good. Hidden meaning, moral and political one. Okay, Shalini?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. It says a story, play, picture, etc., in which each character or event is a symbol representing an idea or a quality, such as truth, evil.
Very good. Right? It's representing something. So the entire unit number 19 on King Purunjana, all chapters 25 to 28, all the characters are fictional characters. We'll soon read one of the verse where Prabhupada summarizes, although there is other verse also summarizing all those fictional characters. So the entire teachings in this unit number 19 are as an allegory that chapter 25 starts that once upon a time there was a king named Puranjana. And there are many more characters that come through these chapters, and all these characters, they are fictional characters to represent something else. And later on, that verse we'll read today. Later on, Narad Muni goes on to describe that Narad Muni told the story of Puranjana to Prachana Barisat to tell the life story of Prachani Barisat to Prachini Barisat. Everybody understood? I will repeat my last whole sentence. So Narad Muni describes that Narad Muni told the story of Puranjana, which is a fictional character, the story of Puranjana to Prachini Barisat to tell the life story of Prachani Barisat to Prachani Barisat, so that Prachini Barisat can understand, oh, I am on a wrong track. I need to understand. And Prabhupada goes on to explain that some take up bhakti yoga right away, but those who are too materially attached, you can frame it in a story form to get them to understand what they are supposed to do and what they are not supposed to do. So the character Puranjana does not exist. And lot of characters in the whole unit number 19, all the chapters, 25 to 28, those characters don't exist. They are all fictional characters to represent something else. And then Narad Muni, towards the end of this chapter 28, in the very last verse, it goes on to explain that all these characters means what. And then even then, in the subsequent unit number 20, at the very start, Prachini Barisat goes on to ask, I did not follow. What did you say? Puranjana is me. And all these are my lifestyle. He didn't understand. And then Narad Muni goes on to further clarify. and then goes on to explain another allegory also in subsequent chapters. Shivangi?
Prabhuji, why do you say that he lived like in a wrong way? Like, I thought his sons were very qualified devotees.
Yeah, his sons were, so Prachini Barisa's sons were very well qualified, the Prachetas, but he himself was diverted to material enjoyment.
Oh,
And to bring Prachini Barisad back on track on the path of spirituality, therefore Narad Muni. So now you understand that after Rudra Gita, so Rudra Gita is spoken to the Prachetas by Lord Shiva, and then Lord Shiva goes away. And then the Prachetas are going to perform this Rudra Gita, and they're going to perform austerities for 10,000 years. And where Narad Muni is going to come also and speak to the Prachetas. And then Narad Muni says, okay, Prachetas, they are on the right track, but their father, Prachani Barisat, is all caught up in material enjoyment. So I need to deliver him also. Therefore, Narad Muni goes to Prachani Barisat and explains this story as an allegory, that he says, once upon a time, there was a king named Puranjana, but that king never existed. Puranjana does not exist. And then there are so many other characters. All those characters don't exist. They are all fictional characters to represent something else. Therefore, the entire unit number 19, chapters 25 to 28, is an allegory to explain to Prachini Barisat his own lifestyle through these fictional characters, which starts with Puranjana, then his wife as Puranjini, and there are so many other characters which we'll read very, very soon now. Shivangi?
okay, Prabhuji. So even though he had very good sons, he somehow lost his way also.
Correct. Uncle?
That is a fictional character to explain for one's own understanding about themselves. That is my understanding.
Yeah, correct. So all those fictional characters, in the last verse of chapter 28, Narad Muni summarizes, although it's not 100% list, but a large portion of those fictional characters are there in chapter 28, verse 65, and then in subsequent unit and subsequent chapters, there are a few other characters also explained, as well as there is another allegory also comes up in the later chapters. So let's read right now chapter 28, the very last verse number 65, translation and purport, where all these characters Prabhupada has summarized that this character is actually this, that Puranjana is actually Prachini Barisat, that Puranjini is actually his wife. And you will understand all these characters, how Prabhupada has explained very nicely. Everybody with me so far before we read?
Yes, Prabhu.
All right. Shivangi? Chapter 28, Canto 4, chapter 28, verse number 65. So go slow and you will realize Prabhupada has given a laundry list of all these characters.
Does the translation, Prabhu?
Translation and purport.
Okay. My dear King Prachinabari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes, is celebrated to be known indirectly. Thus, I have described the story of Puranjana to you. Actually, it is an instruction for self-realization. Purport. There are many similar stories in the Puranas for self-realization. As stated in the Vedas, Paroksha Priya Eva Hi Devaha. There are many stories in the Puranas that are intended to interest ordinary men in transcendental subjects, but actually these refer to real facts. They are not to be considered stories without a transcendental purpose. Some of them refer to real historical facts. One should be interested, however, in the real purport of the story. Indirect instruction is quickly understandable for a common man. Factually, the path of Bhakti Yoga is the path of hearing directly about the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu. But those who are not interested in hearing directly about the activities of the Lord, or who cannot understand them, can very effectively hear such stories and fables as this one narrated by Narad Muni. The following is a glossary of some of the important words in this chapter. Adeshakari, the actions resulting from sinful activities. Agastya, the mind. Amatya, the governor of the senses, the mind. Adbhuda, various types of Shravana and Kirtana of the Supreme Lord's name, quality, form, and so on. Ari, impairments like disease. Bhoga, enjoyment. Here in this word refers to real enjoyment in spiritual life. Britya, the servants of the body, namely the senses. Dravida Raja, devotional service or a person eligible to act in devotional service. Dvara, the doors of the body, such as the eyes and ears. Griha, home. For spiritual cultivation, one requires an undisturbed place or the good association of devotees. Idmavaha, the devotees who approaches the spiritual master. Idma refers to wood that is taken to burn as fuel for a fire. A brahmachari is supposed to take this idma to ignite the fire used in performing sacrifices. By spiritual instruction, a brahmachari is trained to ignite a fire and offer oblations in the morning. He is supposed to go to the spiritual master to take lessons on transcendental subject matter, and the Vedic injunction is that when approaching the spiritual master, one must carry with him fuel to perform yajnas or sacrifices. The exact Vedic injunction is as follows. Tat vijnadatam sagurum eva vigachet. Samit pani strotriyam brahmanishtam. To learn transcendental subject matter, one must approach the spiritual master. In doing so, he should carry fuel to burn in sacrifice. The symptom of such a spiritual master is that he is expert in understanding the Vedic conclusion, and therefore he constantly engages in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Mundaka Upanishad 1.2.12. By serving such a bona fide spiritual master, gradually a conditioned soul becomes detached from material enjoyment and invariably makes progress in spiritual realization under the direction of the spiritual master. Those who are misled by the illusory energy are never interested in approaching the spiritual master to make life successful. Jaya, intelligence. Jeerna Sattva, the fatigued air of life. Kala Kanya, the invalidity of old age. Kama, a high fever. Kulachala, the place where there is no disturbance. Kutumbini, intelligence. Madirkeshana. Madirkeshana refers to one whose eyes are so attractive that one who observes them becomes maddened by her. In other words, Madirkeshana means a very beautiful young girl. According to Jiva Goswami, Madirkeshana means the personified deity of bhakti. If one is attracted by the bhakti cult, he becomes engaged in the service of the Lord and the spiritual master, and thus his life becomes successful. Vaidharbi, the woman, became a follower of her husband. As she left her comfortable home for the service of her husband, a serious student of spiritual understanding must give up everything for the service of the spiritual master. As stated by Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakura, Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasadaha. If one wants actual success in life, he must strictly follow the instructions of the spiritual master. By following such instructions, one is sure to make rapid progress in spiritual life. This statement by Vishwanatha Chakravarti is in pursuance of the following injunction from the Shvetashvatara Upanishad 6.23. Yasya deve para bhaktir yatha deve tata gurau tasyaita katita hi attaha prakashante mahatmanaha. Only unto those great souls who have implicit faith in both the Lord and the spiritual master are all the imports of Vedic knowledge automatically revealed. In the Chandogya Upanishad, it is said, Acharyavan Purusho Veda. One who approaches a bona fide spiritual master can understand everything about spiritual realization. Malaya Dvaja, a nice devotee who is like sandalwood. Panchala, the five sense objects. Parichada, the total aggregate of the senses. Paurajana, the seven elements that constitute the body. Pautra, patience and gravity. Prajvara, a kind of fever called Vishnujvara. Pratikriya, counteracting agents such as mantras and medicines. Purapalaka, the life air. Putra, consciousness. Shainika, the conditioned of threefold miseries. Saptasutta, the seven sons, namely hearing, chanting, remembering, offering prayers, and serving the lotus feet of the Lord, worshipping the deity and becoming a servant of the Lord. Sauridya, endeavor. Sutta, the son of Vaidarbi, or in other words, one who is somewhat advanced in fruitive activities and one who comes in contact with a devotee spiritual master. Such a person becomes interested in the subject matter of devotional service. Vaidarbi, the woman who was formerly a man but took birth as a woman in his next life because of too much attachment to women. Darpa means kusha grass. In fruitive activities or karma kandya ceremonies, one requires kusha grass. Thus, Vaidarbi refers to one who takes birth in a family of karma kandya understanding. However, if by karma kanda activities one by chance comes in contact with a devotee, as Vaidarbi did when she married Malayadvaja, his life becomes successful. He then pursues the devotional service of the Lord. The conditioned soul becomes liberated simply by following the instructions of the bona fide spiritual master. Vidarbha Rajasimha, the best of persons who are expert in fruitive activities. Virya, one who has mercy. Yavana, the servant of Yamaraja.
So what happens is in the story described that Puranjana was too attached to Puranjani, and therefore in the next life Puranjana goes on to become a woman as Vaidarbi, and then Vaidarbi marries Mala Dwaja. He is a devotee. So all these characters, they go on to describe very nicely with all these fictional characters like Kala Kanya. Kala Kanya does not exist. It actually is time. So all these descriptions, some of them are here and some of them in later units. And when you read the chapter 25 onwards, initially there is no mention that all these are fictional characters. Little by little, Prabhupada goes on to explain in the purports that what all these fictional characters are explaining. And therefore, I am giving you an upfront overview so as to make your read a little bit easier rather than getting caught on that. Who is Puranjana? What's the relationship with Puranjani? And what is this Kalakanya? And then Bhritya comes in, and then Kalakanya and Bhritya get married. Everything is a fictional just to explain the story that don't be attached too much at bodily level. Everybody with me? Questions, comments, realizations? Uncle?
The rebirth man into woman, woman into man also happens, no?
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
that is also fictional.
No. So we read in the purport, Prabhupada said at the very start of the purport, that we have to understand the actual meaning of the story. The actual meaning of the story is that if a man is attached to the wife or any female, whether it be mother, daughter, fantasy, does not matter, the man generally, there's a high chance that the man will get a female body in the subsequent life. And same applies for female, that if a female is attached to the male, whatever be the relation, that father, spouse, son or fantasy, does not matter. There's high likelihood that the female will end up remembering the male and end up getting the male body in the subsequent life.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Right. So the first paragraph that we read in chapter 28, verse 65, Prabhupada explains it very nicely. That, the proper process is to hear the pastimes of the Lord. So those who are devotees, bhakti yogis, they'll hear the pastime, but those who are not interested, for them, these stories are made up. So Prachini Barisat was distracted towards material attachments and material enjoyment. Therefore, Srila Narad Muni goes on to explain with these fictional characters that once upon a time there was a king named Puranjana. That's how this whole story starts. And then in the next unit, Narad Muni goes on to explain that Puranjana does not exist, that Puranjana Prachini Parisat is actually you. Puranjana does not exist, it's just a fictional name, a fictional character. Puranjana is actually you, Prachani Bharisat. And then Prachani Bharisat, what? This is me. This is what I'm doing. Hurry, I don't want to become Vaidarvi. And that's how he transforms and goes on the path of renunciation then. So, although that discussion comes up in the subsequent unit number 20. Everybody with me? Questions, comments, realizations?
In a nutshell, a drama is created
Correct.
to
Correct.
make
A
one
drama.
the
Correct.
aware.
Absolutely correct. A drama is correct. So that this whole unit number 19 is just a drama. Yes, there are learnings with that fictional characters, with that drama. That's exactly what we read in purport for chapter 28, verse 65. Prabhupada says that those who are not directly interested in Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, for them, acharyas have created this drama-like or story with fictional characters, and people actually understand the message through the fictional characters quite nicely. At least some do. Well, is that overview helpful for your reading?
Yes, Prabhu, definitely.
Of course, Prabhu.
All right. We are getting close to 12 noon here in Toronto time. I don't have anything more to discuss. We will assemble next week, 2 weeks to revise. Hare Krishna, everybody.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.